Today we're going to talk about cold air intakes. So I've got a GR WRX stock airbox and a replacement aftermarket Process West cold air intake. Get asked almost every day, do I need a tune with a cold air intake? I'm going to show you why you do, where the differences lie, and then we'll run through the different scaling afterwards on the stock ROM versus a tuned intake and how that affects the air-fuel ratio. So the first thing to look at is how do these actually work. The stock airbox has the airflow sensor located just past the filter. The air ducting at the front directs the air through here, goes through the filter element, goes past the airflow meter, then through to the turbo. The airflow meter measures the amount of air coming through here and then tells the ECU where it sits relative to the voltage range that this is picking up. The Process West unit works the exact same way, except the filter is on the end. That sits down in the guard. The air comes up the pipe, past the airflow meter that's located in there, through the pipe, through to the turbo, and then to be through to the motor. Now the difference in the stock airbox, the measurement here, this dictates the scaling, as well as the actual outright flow through the unit will dictate the scaling. We've measured that to be 70 mil. On the Process West unit, 72 mil. Now, it doesn't sound like much, it isn't at the end of the day. It's only a small surface area change, but the outright flow between the two will increase as this comes up in airflow speeds. So what we'll find in the stock scaling, if I had the stock intake scaling on this unit, run with this here, they'll be very, very close at low air speeds. So at idle and just off idle, as you come up in airflow speed, so as the engine requires more air to operate, the difference in scaling exponentially gets wider and wider and wider. In the next segment, I'll show you how much it does vary between this. So I've got the stock airbox scaling in a tune, then I can show you what a tuned value should look like once it's on a Process West. Okay, what we're looking at here is the stock airbox scaling on the left and the Process West on the right hand side. Intake scaling essentially is a voltage range on the left hand side and the corresponding mass airflow in Gs per second. Each airbox and cold air intake will have a different scaling. What I want to show is the difference in scaling as the airflow requirements go up. And I've done that by putting into a small spreadsheet. We can see stock scaling on the left hand side, Process West in the middle, and then the percentage change down here. So you can see at low air speeds the changes are small, they're down to about 2%. As they go up in airspeed and airflow requirements, the change gets wider and wider. So we're out to about 20% there, into boost up to about 28%. The car itself will do a certain amount of learning. The problem comes, all that learning is done in closed loops, so in cruise conditions and just on the onset of boost. On this car, if we have a look at the ability to learn, those learning ranges are from small, low air speeds at 5.6 up to 10, up to 50, just before the onset of boost. Now that's where the majority of the learning will happen. Let's see how much that'll learn in this example. If we look at the stock airbox scaling around the 50 Gs per second mark, there's a 11 to 14% difference there. The ECU can learn up to 25%, but if it's only sitting in that range just before boost, it's only going to learn up to potentially about 12%. That can then get carried over to boost, but it's not enough to cover what we require up to the 28%, so the car's going to run lean. So the old saying that the car can learn, it is true, but only up to a certain point. And if you're sitting in those ranges, it's not going to learn enough, and the car's not smart enough to learn while it's in boost. So inherently it's going to run lean. Now imagine if you're on a GD stock airbox, which measures around the 66mm, and you go to something as large as a 72, there's going to be a much larger change in airflow requirement there, and the car's instantly going to run lean. This is a good example because they are very close in size, but you can see as the airflow requirements go up, they exponentially get wider and wider apart. So even though they're very close, there's still a big difference in scaling, and that's where it comes down to tuning. We tune it and get the air-fuel ratio in line, and the car's safe and makes the best power.